Nuclear energy was first developed in the 1940s during the Second World War. In the 1950s, the focus of nuclear energy was put on power generation. Like most power plants, nuclear spins a turbine to generate electricity. This is achieved by using fuel bundles filled with solid uranium. The uranium atoms are split via nuclear fission, which produces neutrons as well as heat. This heat is then used to drive the steam turbine cycle. Nuclear is the world's second largest source of low-carbon power, making up nearly 11% of the world's total electricity. There are currently 450 nuclear reactors globally, with an additional 160 reactors planned for the future. Increasing the production of nuclear energy consequently magnifies the production issues associated with it. Like most energy generation today, nuclear power relies on a finite resource. The World Nuclear Association projects 80 years of viable uranium at the current rate of consumption. But the biggest issue is that every year, over 50,000 tons of depleted uranium is added to waste stockpiles, growing the world stock to 1.6 million tons. There are three types of nuclear waste: low, intermediate, and high. High-level waste is a product of all nuclear generation processes and makes just 3% of the total volume of waste arising from nuclear generation, but contains 95% of the radioactivity. Low-level waste represents 90% of the total volume of radioactive wastes, but contain only 1% of the radioactivity. Due to its high level of radioactivity, high-level waste requires the most attention regarding disposal and storage for safety protocols. Spent nuclear fuel bundles are transferred from a reactor to a water-filled pool where their heat and radioactivity decline. After 7 to 10 years, the bundles are transferred to dry storage containers. Dry storage is a well-known technology that has been tested and verified in the industry since the 1980s. Dry storage containers are made of reinforced high-density concrete that are lined inside and outside with half-inch steel plate. The thickness of the concrete and steel provides an effective barrier against radiation. The total cost of nuclear power plant waste is roughly 5% of the total cost of the electricity generated, with $100 billion spent globally in 2015. An estimated 370,000 tons of heavy metal waste from spent fuel has been accumulated since the first nuclear power plant was established. The current total disposal volume of high-level waste is roughly 22,000 cubic meters, which is equivalent to 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So what are the new methods for dealing with waste? One method which has a lot of attention, as it is sponsored by tech billionaire Bill Gates, is TerraPower. The appeal of TWR is that after using a small amount of enriched uranium at the beginning of the process, the reactor then runs on the waste product and can consume its own fuel. This reactor does not have to have its waste removed until theoretically a couple hundred years. TerraPower wants to build a 600 megawatt demonstration plant by 2022, followed by a larger commercial plant of 1.15 gigawatts in the late 2020s. Another option is to use thorium as a fuel source in place of uranium. Thorium is 3 times more abundant in Earth's crust than uranium, and reactors could see up to 40% decrease in fuel requirement. The main advantage of thorium regarding waste is the spent fuel quantity and its decay time. There is roughly 2/3 less waste product compared to uranium. Additionally, the waste product only needs to be in geological isolation for roughly 300 years, which is significantly smaller than the 10,000-year isolation time required for uranium waste. To minimize the nuclear waste problem, the overall system of nuclear energy generation must change. This can be achieved by either changing the fuel source and operation of nuclear reactors, or create an additional component in the energy system which uses depleted uranium for fuel. Nuclear energy is not a renewable resource, but addressing the issue of nuclear waste can allow it to be a primary tool in combating climate change.